evaluating how do you try to solve a hitter that is not only hitting above 500 2 weeks into the year, but obviously putting together a performance like this to start the game.
It's challenging. You know as a pitcher that this leadoff is very, very good. She gets the job done. She gets on base for her team. So you have to be ready to attack, but getting ahead is number one, which is great. So now McKenna Reed was able to throw some pitcher's pitches and ultimately get her.
A dribbler to Flaherty, a nice toss over to first by Amaya Ross. The Seminoles get that first out with Peden. Rare time she does not reach safely. Up next for this Florida International team, Callie Meredith. Just like Florida State boasts so many great first-year players, FIU has some good newcomers of their own. Beecham, nice scoop and throw. All over that one, quickly 2 away.
Chasoni Beecham has the makings to be a fantastic third baseman for this Florida State team. Honestly, I think that, eventually she could be just like a Jessie Warren because of her hitting abilities as well.
Careful now. So it's 2 weeks in.
I know. Those big shoes to fill, but I think she's got the makings if she continues on the path that she's on. I know that is a crazy comparison. Jessie is so talented.
Warren, one of her mentors, though, when Jason E was starting to come to camps here after starting to attend Florida High her last couple of years in high school. Good comparison to make.
It's definitely really cool that she is a hometown girl. She was able to come in and go to all these Florida State camps. She's basically grown up in it and getting to work with players just like Jessie Warren or like a Sydney Sherrill, who are, in my opinion, the 2 best third basemen in the country.
Devin Flaherty even saying, it's funny looking at my side of the infield sometimes, playing with Amaya. Been around here for a couple of years, and then you look over, it's 2 freshmen. McKenna Reed off to a strong start, a 1-2 count. Facing her third batter, Casey Goguts.
This is a beautiful rise ball by McKenna Reed right there on the outside corner. It had a little bit of outside run, which is something that you want to do when you're trying to get ahead against lefty batters or righty batters. You like to add a little bit of run to those rise balls.
Upstairs for strike 3. What a start for McKenna Reed in her first start of the 2024 season. We spoke there. It was a great first start, but also came on in relief against the number 10 Duke Blue Devils. Tossed a couple innings in relief, scoreless. All the confidence in the world. She separated herself from the rest of the pitching staff, even in fall ball. But it's Kerr who works into a hitter's count 2-0. And already, we'll see Coach Larrabee, Coach Forsythe step out of the dugout.
Interesting that they're coming out so early.
Mike Forsythe, the pitching coach, Mike Larrabee in his 3rd season. Settle down Vanderkoos, the Florida native.
Vanderkoos is a pitcher who can throw to all 4 quadrants, so you're going to see her throw a drop, a rise, a curve, a screw. She's not afraid to mix it up.
And after catching her breath there with her coaches in infield, delivers a strike to make it 2-1 to Kerr. Off there. What's so difficult for the Noles, expecting to see a little bit of everything out of the freshman?
Well, basically you have to go into it with a plan. So they did their scouting. They know what she's throwing. They know what her tendencies are. So they're going to go in looking for a particular pitch to hit, and that's what they're going to go with until it gets to a situation like this where you just have to battle.
Full count to Florida State's leadoff hitter. Payoff pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. From 2-0 to down on strikes. A big first out for FIU.
Great job by the freshman going up in the zone with that rise ball, getting it right on the hands of Janai Kerr.
Just the second strikeout for Kerr this year. Now Issa Torres cementing herself in that second spot in the lineup. Coming off an impressive Clearwater Invitational. Showing you the FSU batting order in the first of 2 games against the Panthers today. Harding waiting on deck.
It's a nice changeup, a little low in the zone, but good off speed.
And 1 through 4, especially that top part of the lineup. The 2 freshmen, you might not expect this Florida State offense to be as potent as years past, but they returned 6 of their top 7 hitters from last year, mixing in those freshmen. Wow. Torres sharply hits it to second, cleaned up by Michaela Navarro for the second out.
The freshmen, Issa Torres and Jasoni Beecham, have been incredible in this Florida State lineup, both of them producing offensively and defensively very, very well.
We go from 2 hitters hitting well over 400 in the first 2 weeks of the year to Kaylee Harding, the one I think that will terrify any pitcher in the circle. Smacks this over towards left, and it drops out of play right in front of Collier Peden.
Kaylee Harding is one of those players that has just continued to get better over the years. She came out and started her freshman season with the Noles and never looked back. She has just continued to excel over and over and over again and has become someone that they really rely on.
6 multi-hit games in her first 8 starts of the year. So it's funny, we talk about it before the game, it's just you don't know what to say, you don't know what numbers to use, you just go, oh, Kaylee's at the plate.
She's incredible.
Just lays off there, that bounces before it reaches home, and Isabella Perez. Kaylee Harding coming off a 4-hit performance against UCLA last weekend. See those numbers just elevating it from great to outstanding, even better. What's better than an A?
I don't know, honestly. And that's exactly the type of player that she's been so far this year, is just an A-plus player. It was a nice change up there by Julie.
Vanderkoos already struck out 1 Seminole. Can she do it again? Deuces wild in the first, and now works into a full count. Vanderkoos out of Sarasota County. Elite strikeout pitcher. And gets another one there. How about this kid? Julie Vanderkoos retires the Seminoles in order in the
Play the best to be the best. And I completely agree with him. I think playing a very tough schedule at the beginning is how you get better. It's how you learn, it's how you discover your weaknesses and what you need to do to get better.
Abigail Brown, the senior, designated player today. Leads off the second inning against McKenna Reed after she looked strong after a battle against Collier Peden to open up the game. This is what we like to see, something Lonnie Alameda spoke to media about on Monday, saying you watch that UCLA game and Georgia game and it comes down to so many little things like that first pitch being a strike or not. And McKenna Reed, look, I know it's 4 batters into the game, but she's starting on her front foot today.
She definitely is. She's getting ahead of batters. She's doing a great job. We know that this FIU team is aggressive. They're going to swing at the first pitch. So McKenna Reed is able to expand the zone. She's able to throw pitches up, out, and there's a good chance that they're going to swing.
Lifted towards right field. Hallie Waycaser just in the field to play, and one day after her birthday gets the first out of the second inning. All-conference performer Isabella Perez up next for FIU. Talk about Florida State's impressive freshman and even their sophomore in the circle. Panthers boast a whole lot of talent despite being a little young. Perez, an all-conference performer last year in her first season. Lays off to take ball one against Reed. Shown her elite defensive ability, hitting .250 on the young season. Second on the team last year with a .331 average.
Coach Larrabee had a lot of great things to say about Perez.
Sneaks that one by Amaya Ross. First runner of the day for the Panthers. One out single. Racking up the accolades early. So what's funny is you never know with freshmen. Sometimes you get that hot start, teams start scouting you, they make adjustments, and things can change that back half of the season. Not for Isabella Perez.
No, and you can see 16 runners caught stealing. That was one thing that Coach Larrabee really honed in on when he watched her at PGF and recruited her. He said he knew he wanted her on his team because of her pop time and because of how aggressive she was behind the plate.
Just like Florida State, FIU likes to be a little aggressive on the base paths too. Kayla Navarro watches a strike hit the top of the zone. This will be something to watch and something Florida State is very mindful of. This FIU team across the board as a group hits just a hair under 300, but they don't have a lot of power. We don't see a lot of extra base hits. What's the formula to success today in this doubleheader? As we get a swing and miss there for strike two.
Definitely going to have to be aware that you're going to see a lot of small ball. You're going to see a lot of ground balls, understanding what this team does well, which is bunt, slap, and run bases. They're going to try to put a lot of pressure on the defense, so the defense needs to be ready. They need to be able to explode and react quickly, and then Edenfield behind the plate needs to be ready to throw some runners out.
FIU coming off a big weekend. Had their second game against Duke rained out. Lost the only time they played the Blue Devils, but beat Rutgers in a doubleheader. Go down swinging there with Navarro. A couple of Ks early for McKenna Reed.
McKenna Reed coming back up with that rise ball, getting yet another strikeout on that fantastic pitch.
I remember Coach singing her praises last year where she just seemed unhittable at times. Especially you look back to Clearwater and how good she was. Going from a UCLA game to an Alabama game where she turned a lot of heads. Lonnie calling her tough as nails, ice in her veins. Being in these high leverage moments really matter for young pitchers as they settle in and kind of find out who they're going to be in their later years.
Definitely. That's what she's doing right now. She's in her sophomore season now. She had a huge role last year, but an even bigger role this year, coming in and not having that senior like Catherine Sandercock who could bail her out of those situations. She's having to really work through things now and know, hey, like, I got to be able to get through this myself.
That one just pops out of Edenfield's glove. Perez now on second. Ashton Lansdale at the dish. Runner in scoring position for the Panthers. They have one of their best power bats. Now a 2-1 count for Lansdale. Former baseball player. More on her incredible story in just a few moments.
She's also the birthday girl. It is her birthday today.
Sorry, Hallie, your day was yesterday. Lansdale grew up playing baseball from a very young age, never really interested in softball. Was playing at Georgia Highlands College when she tore ACL. Playing for the USA women's baseball team. Her coach, Veronica Alvarez, helped her get in touch with some softball folks. She said, you know what, let's give it a try. I want to continue my education, still play a sport. The patience pays off there. Like with her injury, a walk to put 2 on with 2 out.
So cool because, especially from a hitting perspective, it's so different. I mean, baseball, they're throwing at a down angle, and then softball, you're throwing underneath at an up angle. So, I mean, the ball is coming from 2 completely different planes. The amount of adjustments that you have to make as a hitter, just even seeing it from a different release point is crazy to me.
Bailey Grossenbacher swings at the first pitch and fouls it off towards the FSU dugout. We saw Allison Royalty last week against Stanford really shine in some of these tighter spots. How does McKenna Reed fare against the senior Grossenbacher? Drove in 3 runs last week. Fouls off another one.
Grossenbacher has incredible power, and she's such a hard worker. Coach Larrabee had to say that he's so proud of how she's grown. Last year she broke her hand and had to redshirt. So what she's been able to do and overcome to get back to the position that she's in now, he's really proud of her.
So she's come a long, long way since her first season a couple years ago. Larrabee had taken over in Miami. Reed, after a 1-2-3 inning in the first, there's a runner in scoring position right behind her. Larrabee, the long-time softball coach, a Washington State baseball player. Had some really good Arkansas teams back in the day. 4 straight conference titles at the D2 level. All that experience really coming to a head, especially with this group that is finding ways to win. 5 of their 6 W's this year coming by 1 run.
He said that he wants players who have come from previous programs, whether it be high school or travel ball, who know what it takes to win, who are not afraid to back down, never say die. He wants those players who have that fight in them.
We're seeing a whole lot of fight in the batter's box early. 1-2. Another foul ball.
We've seen at-bats like this a few times now from the FIU hitters. They are fighting. They're swinging and doing whatever they can to try to put the ball in play, try to put pressure on the defense and on the pitcher.
Panthers trying to put some pressure on the number 11 team in the country. But Reed strikes out again. Back-to-back Ks to end the first. How do you move forward as a group?
I think the Clearwater tournament was hard for every team that was there. There were so many home runs hit in Clearwater. The offense was insane just from all aspects from several different teams. So also there were really young pitching staffs there. That's what they were talking about on the Clearwater broadcast. I think on average each staff was 2 years younger than in previous years. So that plays a huge role in the offense and the home runs that were hit as well, because you have a lot of young pitchers out there trying their best to figure out what the heck's going on. So this Florida State team learned a lot of lessons, learned some hard lessons, learned some good lessons. And I think them being able to come back here, come back home, play these teams, and apply the things that they learned from Clearwater is really going to help propel them forward in the season.
Jason Beecham propels that to center field, rounding for second. The throw, not in time. Already making an early impact in the cleanup spot this year, Jason Beecham delivers again.
Jason Beecham is fantastic. What she's been able to do so far in her freshman season has been so fun to watch. And she just continues to surprise me, and I don't know why, because I feel like now I should expect it. She has done this over and over and over again, been such a huge role player so far offensively and defensively for Florida State.
And now turns it over to another great surprise early in the year. Amaya Ross and FIU caught napping. Lansdale a step behind, Beecham all over it. A little finger wag as she advances 60 feet.
I love the aggressive heads-up base running. That's what Florida State is known for. They're known for their base running, putting pressure on the defense. I love that Jasoni Beecham has already bought into that as a freshman and really taking advantage of FIU not paying attention.
We didn't even get to that. One of my favorite things on that hit, she didn't even hesitate rounding first. She sent, she goes. No little stop, no little look at the center field. It was misplayed by Callie Meredith. She was ready to go.
Florida State practices base running like no other. It's something that they continuously work on. The hitters, once they get the hits and run the bases, they are heads up. They know what they're doing. They don't have to look at the coaches. They can see for themselves the direction of the ball, the direction of the player, and that lets them know, can I advance or should I stay?
2-0 count to Amaya Ross, putting together a great start to her third season in Tally. Fouls that off. We knew she was a great base runner her first couple of seasons and just how dangerous she is when she'd sub in constantly as a pinch runner. But for somebody that didn't really have a whole lot of at-bats last year, she's putting together some big numbers in big games, especially last weekend.
Amaya Ross is one of those players that I think is kind of tricky. She comes in and she's got all this speed, and usually you don't see speed players have power, but she does. She can hit home runs, she can hit doubles, triples, most of the time triples because she's so fast, she makes it to third. It's interesting.
Like 36 at-bats all of last year. Payoff pitch, crushed to left center, at the wall, it's gone!
I'm going to take credit for that. I think I called that home run talking about the power that Amaya Ross has in her bat.
Second homer of the season for the Jacksonville native. And Amaya Ross opens the scoring in the second.
This pitch just a little up in the zone, a little bit middle in, and Amaya Ross turns on it and hits a no-doubter over left center.
Coming off her second multi-hit game of the season against UCLA last week, Amaya Ross now started all 9 games to start 2024. One of my favorite words when we talk about college athletics, somebody who's waited their turn, earned it. She's earned to be in this spot, and she's making the most of it.
She has, and she's such an incredible worker. Coach Alameda last season told me that she had to tell Amaya to go home on several occasions because she would constantly be in the bullpen, working on her craft, trying to be better.
A 1-3 ground out for Devin Flaherty after the hit to center field by Beecham to open up the second, then the home run. Good bounce back performance to get out Flaherty, but now your reward is Michaela Edenfield.
Area 51.
We talk about maturity, somebody who's taken another leap in their third year. Michaela Edenfield is just a wordsmith. Just seems so wise now after 2 seasons where she's really had a big impact, but she really loves this role of being a leader and trying to help this great freshman class.
Michaela Edenfield has impressed me in so many different ways. I played with her, and her freshman year, she needed to grow a little bit. She needed to redshirt that year, which is what Coach Alameda did for her so that she could get her bearings, get a little bit more experience, mature a little bit. And as you can see, she has become an incredible player. She's so talented, she's so smart. Her softball IQ has grown, and she's a leader for this team, and that's what you have to have as a catcher especially.
3-0 count against Vanderkoos, trying to work against the sunset. 4-pitch walk for Edenfield. At me today, she said she was really annoying as a freshman. Is that true?
I wouldn't call her annoying. I think most freshmen are annoying. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't call her annoying. I do think that she needed to learn a lot, and that's what every freshman has to go through. You have to learn just so many different things. It's incredible the amount of learning that you do your freshman season.
Waycaser hits it to third. They get the force at second. Throw to first. Not in time. Good effort trying to go 5-4-3. Kalina Downing did her best to try and turn two.
Hallie Waycaser hits this ball right down third base. Trying to turn two, get that second out, but she's a little too fast. Makes it to first base before the throw.
Bang, bang play. David Gilliam calling her safe. Now first pitch strike to Kaylee Mudge. Usually in that leadoff spot for Lonnie Alameda, but now dealing with an ankle issue to start the year. We've seen her in and out of the lineup a few times. And the 9-hole today with 2 outs.
When you have so many talented players who can do so many different things, it's a good problem to have, but you will see different lineups. You'll see people in all kinds of different spots, 1 through 9, all kinds of different locations on the field. Like I said, it's a good problem to have. You have so many athletes, you can mix and mingle and see which one works best.
Florida State fans know by now, Kaylee's just happy to be there.
She is. She is a ray of sunshine. I absolutely love Kaylee Mudge. We were roommates when I was here, and she's an incredible person, a hard worker, really smart. She's so smart. Great softball IQ. Love me some Mudge.
1-2 pitch, grounded right back to Vanderkoos. Works through the Knolls after allowing a 2-run home run, but that's the difference right now. Amaya Ross, it's takeoff time at Joanne Graff Field. The Knolls jump in front 2-0 after 2. No, you're already playing 5, let's just play 6.
Might as well, right? Double headers, those are something else. I did not look forward to double headers when I was playing in college, especially with playing in the COVID season. We played several double headers. We would play 4 games a weekend instead of just 3 in a double header at the end of the weekend. So that's not something that I loved doing. But
okay, you say we, but it feels like the royal we.
well, I shouldn't say we, but but as a team, you know, it was hard. It was definitely hard for the pitchers, especially us having to kind of, you know, take on a lot more, playing more games.
Definitely an adjustment for everybody that year. And obviously, all jokes aside, but that staying ready mentality. I know we saw Lonnie Alameda, first couple of games, she had 6 freshmen out on the field by the end. I guess it's the double-edged sword of the good and bad of playing double headers. It's Reed working against an 0-2. Fires outside the zone to Kalina Downing. But is that good or bad as a player knowing, hey, even if I don't start today, I have to expect to go in. I'm expecting to get my name called as my coach is trying to see who's going to separate themselves as conference play opens up in a month.
No matter what, you should be ready for your name to be called. That should be your mindset, whether you play and start every single day or you don't start hardly ever. That's just something that this game is so unpredictable. You never know when the coach is going to call your name, so you've got to be ready at all times.
ACC play opens against number 10 Duke March 16th. So big games before that as well. 2-2 nearly makes contact with Downing. Staying patient despite falling behind. Nothing seems to rattle these FIU hitters one time through the order.
They're a very aggressive team. They're a first pitch swinging team, which is one reason why we've seen McKenna Reed go so high up in the zone with that rise ball. She was trying to bait them. She wants them to swing at that pitch because she knows they're an aggressive team so that you get results like that. which is that, easy pop-up.
Give credit to McKenna Reed, too, making her first start of the 2024 season. Coming off maybe a disappointing Clearwater Invitational for her. Last time out against Georgia, through 1 inning, 4 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks, 3 home runs, something you just never saw in her first year. This one hit over to right field. It drops in front of Waycaser. Throw to first, not there. Leadoff single for FIU, and Downing fights to get on first.
This pitch also up in the zone. She's able to take her hands up to the ball, kind of inside out swing it, and get that little soft line drive down the right field line. She was close. She was almost caught it first, but fortunately for her, she was safe.
Back around the top of the order with Collier-Peden. Makes contact there. Just an elite slap hitter coming into FIU. That's what you look for playing junior college ball in the Panhandle. Coach Larrabee saying she's just so competitive. Hates to strike out. The numbers don't lie. 1 strikeout and 35 at-bats. Takes inside there for ball 1.
It's very common for slap hitters to have good hand-eye coordination, to see the ball well, and Collier-Peden is true to that. She has such good hand-eye coordination. Coach Larrabee made sure to include that when we asked about her. She does a good job of seeing the ball down and getting the bat to it.
Coming off a 9 for 15 week in those 4 games at home against Army, Duke, the doubleheader against Rutgers. They even had the walk-off RBI single in the 8th to deliver that Power 5 win over the Scarlet Knights on Saturday. One, 2. After her 8-pitch first at-bat. I don't know what the odds are and if it's going to be a shorter or longer at-bat, but you know she's going to make Reed work for every out today.
Definitely, we've seen that a few times now from the FIU hitters, just getting the bat to the ball somehow, fouling, making McKenna Reed throw a lot of pitches.
Grounded out to second her first time up. Trying to avoid a similar fate here. The runner on first. Hit over to second. Flaherty throws to first and not in time. Wasn't really a good chance for Flaherty to try and tag the runner or even tag the bag.
That's a super tough situation. That ball is hit just in such an awkward spot, not able to turn around and tag the runner, and then with the speed of Collier-Peden, not able to throw the ball to first to get the out.
Giving Florida State a taste of its own medicine. Third hit already for the Panthers. Bunt laid down beautifully. Ross Fields throws to Flaherty. With a tying run in scoring position, Callie Meredith, the freshman, does her job on the first pitch.
Florida State needs to expect that in that situation. You've got a runner on first and second with only 1 out or no outs in that situation. You know she's going to bunt, so they were ready for that. Amaya Ross able to make the play.
Now the transfer Casey Goguts up. Started her college career at Georgia Tech, went to USC Upstate. And then Coach Larrabee told us yesterday she got into FIU for her master's program, then reached out to Mike Larrabee saying, hey, I got into school, I'm coming to FIU. Any chance you have an open spot for me? Incredible story.
I love that story, and I love that, you know, she put the education aspect of it first. I want to make sure that I get into this school. She's in the athletic training program, and then she reached out to coach and said, hey, while I'm at it, I might as well keep playing softball.
He said Power 5 schools were trying to contact her to get them to play for her, but wanted to move a little bit closer to home. Called strike there against the Jupiter, Florida native.
Really nice curve on the inside part of the plate. You can see the movement cutting across and finishing inside.
Popped up, shallow right. Waycaser underneath. The runner starts to tag, quickly retreats back. Downing would have been gunned down with Waycaser ready to fire.
Great job by Hallie Waycaser keeping Downing at third base.
Peden and Downing. Watch as Abigail Brown steps up to the plate, one of 4 captains. Upstairs for ball 1. Hitting 5 for 19 this year. One-0 fouled up and away. These are the moments we saw Allison Royalty deliver against Stanford last week. And Reed, even coming off her performance against Georgia, a lot to like through nearly 3 innings.
She's done great so far. I'm very inspired by her turnaround and her resilience from previous games to now. She's really sticking to the plan that Florida State had against these FIU hitters. She's trusting it, she's trusting herself and her spin, and it's paying off.
Another called strike there. Reed, who's been so open and honest about dealing with some of the pressure that she had to face in the College World Series and playing at the height of the sport, trying to use that experience to her advantage. 2 on, 2 out, the 1-2. Hit towards center. Florida International scores 1, looking for another. They get it. Brown with a big hit, and we're all tied up at 2.
Abigail Brown, the senior, shows off the experience, shows off the clutch moment here, hitting that line drive up the middle. And we know that FIU is going to run. We know that they're going to try to score here. And they do. They go for 2 with the speed.
This team is tough. They've grinded out so many 1-run wins. Even look against Rutgers, where they earned their first Power 5 win since 2020. It's fouled away by Isabella Perez. They were trailing in that game, Kaylin, 2-0. Scored in the bottom 6, then tied it in the bottom of the 7th. One on Peden's game-winning single in the 8th in extras. Even if you get them later into games, that seems where they just start to play their strongest softball.
Definitely, and I got the opportunity to speak to some of the FIU players before the game started, and they were talking about how excited they were to be here. They were so excited to get to play in this stadium against Florida State. They weren't backing down. They were ready to come in and play some softball, and Coach Larrabee talks about that was the type of players that he recruited. He recruited players who want to play, who want to win, who want to come out and give you their best.
Brown in her first 8 games drove in 1 run. Delivers a 2-out, 2-run single to knot it up at 2. Reed trying to get out of the 3rd here. Just off the plate for ball 2.
It's a nice miss by McKenna Reed, just slightly off the plate. trying to get Perez to chase after that pitch.
Over the head of Beecham into foul territory. Try another 2-2. This is where Lonnie Alameda is looking for growth out of her pitching staff. See who can separate themselves, take on those bigger roles you're looking for come ACC, NCAA tournament play. See what our three-man crew was talking about a moment ago.
Coach Larrabee believed that it was catcher's interference. You can see Perez pointing, saying that she tipped the glove of Edenfield. But the umpires disagreed.
Now Mike Larrabee talking with our home plate umpire, Stan Cook. Perez was standing on first a moment ago. They just called her back to the batter's box, so there's just as much confusion in the broadcast booth as there is at home plate.
Catcher's interference is called when the bat of the batter tips the glove of the catcher, makes contact with the glove. Perez believed that she made contact with Edenfield's glove.
Pops it up towards left. Mudge barely has to move for the third out. But FIU ties it up in the top of the third. The Noles look to respond when we return.
Classmen do take on that role.
Kerr pops this up behind home. Perez a little slow on the jump. Couldn't get to it in time. First of the four Seminole studs lead off the bottom of the third. Credit to our producer, Luke Broderick, for coming up with that name. This tie game, that's what Lonnie Alameda did love to see, despite going down 12-1 to Georgia on Saturday morning, and even in that back and forth game with UCLA. Kerr lays off there. There's no quit in this team. She said you couldn't tell if we were up or down by 11 runs. That does speak to that culture and our veteran leadership of, hey, we're not going to hang our head just because things aren't going our way. We're going to continue to fight. We're going to chip away, and we're going to learn what we can from these 7 or 5 innings.
And I think this offense has a lot of confidence in their abilities. I think that they trust each other, and I think that they know, hey, if I don't get this done right here, the person behind me will.
Kerr struck out in her first appearance, just the second time all year. Vanderkoos delivers high for ball 3. Starting to see something special for Julie Vanderkoos, making her second career start after a complete game against Rutgers last Saturday. Kerr pops this up in the infield. Michaela Navarro calls for it. She has it. Leadoff hitter down for Florida State, something that I know Lonnie Alameda, really any coach will say, you're playing top teams. Getting that leadoff batter out can be so huge if you want to spring an upset.
It's massive. You always want to get the leadoff batter out as a pitcher. 1, to keep the momentum on your side. 2, the leadoff batter usually has a lot of speed. They're usually a good base runner, so you want to keep them off because of that. And then 3, you don't want to have runners on base when you know that 2, 3, 4, 5 is coming up where the power normally is.
Issa Torres hit in each one of her first 8 games as a Nole. Slaps this over to left, but on the line right to Collier Peden. 2 up, 2 down.
I love what we're seeing from Vanderkoos right now. It's so cool that a freshman going up against such a big team, such a big name like Florida State is really holding her own. She's doing a great job of getting the hitters to swing at the pitches that she's throwing and getting them to pop up or ground out or whatnot.
Kaylee Harding with 2 gone, takes strike 1. Lonnie Alameda knows a thing or two now in her 16th year in Tallahassee. Hall of Famer looking for a few things to come out of these next 6 games before heading to Eugene, Oregon for a big series against some great competition next weekend. But she said, look, we play a tough schedule and we ask for one. It's going to move the needle and help us grow faster. We knew we needed everybody. We make sure the upperclassmen are with the underclassmen. Remember, those experienced stay with each other and our coaches too. It just helps everybody get better. You can't win a championship in the second week of the season, right? But you can take away so many great things that will make you better come May.
You can't, and there's so many things that happen from point A to point B, the beginning of the season to the end. I mean, these teams could be completely different from the start of the season. Someone may step up halfway through the season that just propels the team forward. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, Bella Perez was ready to walk back to her dugout after that one. Harding evens the count to 2-2. Trying to avoid a second strikeout tonight. Called strike 3.
So they're going to be swinging, they're going to be taking hacks.
Kayla Navarro pops this up in foul play. Saw FIU see some success with that, especially with Collier beating out a throw to first and then coming around on a single to center to tie the game up in the top of the third. Upstairs for ball 1. Reed does have a season high of 4 innings pitched against Florida A&M just 2 weeks ago. Did see Allison Royalty warming up for Florida State between half innings. This one, a cloud toucher. Devin Flaherty is there with plenty of time to spare. Leadoff batter goes down for FIU.
McKenna Reed just needs to continue to do that. Just throw your best pitch, do what you do best, and the results will come. Just like they're staying with that rise ball, her not swinging at it at the beginning, but then coming back, she couldn't lay off of it and gets that easy pop-up.
Ashton Lansdale takes over. Walked her first time up in the second. Lifts this towards center. Kerr racing back and at the warning track reels it in. All smiles in center for Janai Kerr.
Janai Kerr, a phenomenal play in center field. She gets a really good angle running straight back into the wall. I'm sure McKenna Reed is very grateful to have Janai Kerr in center field.
Yeah, that's exactly where the wind is going right now, just past 6 o'clock on this beautiful Thursday afternoon into evening. Lights are on at Joanne Graff Field, and this is a shot right up the middle. Haley Grossenbacher with authority, and another single for the Panthers.
Devin Flaherty tried her best to get to that ball, but just couldn't get there quite in time.
Fifth different player with a hit for the Panthers today. Knowles have just 2 as an offense, but one of those, the 2-run homer from Amaya Ross. Downing swings on the first pitch. Torres calls it, she has it. Scoreless inning for McKenna Reed, still 2-all. New for Julie, this kid's got Riz.
Oh, goodness. Oh, wow, she's got Riz. She definitely has Riz. She has...
How else do you explain this right now? Striking out Janai Kerr and then maybe FSU's hottest bat to start the year, 1 strikeout in the first 8 games, and she goes down her first 2 times at the plate on strikes.
She has done a fantastic job, especially for a freshman coming off high school and coming into this environment. This is a crazy environment to come into. The stadium's huge. You've got all these FSU fans cheering at you, and she's staying the course. She's doing everything that she's supposed to do, sticking to her plan, and throwing really well.
Oh, 1 to Beecham, who had that hard hit ball to center. They ruled it a single and then advanced to second after the error in center. See Coach Larrabee? I don't see Coach Forsythe there sitting on the bucket of balls. But he was the one that convinced Coach Larrabee last weekend to say, hey, it's time to let her start. She's performing really well. Mike Larrabee said, well, we want to ease her in. They said, okay, let's put the ball in her hands and see what she's got. That's what you learn is maybe you're too naive to know what's going on playing Power 5 teams, but aside from that one mistake against Amaya Ross, she's been almost flawless.
He was leery of her being a freshman. He wasn't sure how she was going to perform, how she was going to come into the environment, and she has proved to him that she can handle this, no problem.
But she's definitely had the best number since fall, but weren't expecting that. Another strikeout for Vanderkoos. This time it's Beecham walking back to the dugout.
This pitch up and outside gets Beecham swinging. A big smile on her face. You can tell she's really feeling it right now.
In her bag right now. Only had 2 strikeouts in 8 innings against the Scarlet Knights. But also did throw nearly 4 scoreless innings against Duke. She only gave up 1 hit, struck out 2, didn't walk any in just 40 pitches. Like, jokes aside, this is something special.
It is, for sure. She definitely has a bright future ahead of her. And FIU is lucky to have her in their Panthers uniform.
Count even to Amaya Ross, fresh off her 2nd homer of the season. Getting on base more than half the time. Love to see her grow from a specialist to an everyday player. Whacks that one foul. So nice, we got to see it twice. Amaya Ross, what'd you love about her hitting here?
I love the power behind it. We had just finished talking about how as a speed player, you usually don't see them have this ability to hit the ball 300 feet, but that's exactly what she turned around and did.
Just lays off to avoid the same fate as Beecham. Ross now looking for 3rd multi-hit game of the season. Something the Seminoles are really looking for, just a base runner right now. Knocks that back foul. Really, aside from the hit by Beecham and a walk, Ross obviously had the home run. There just haven't been base runners right now through nearly 4 innings.
Amaya Ross would be the one that you would definitely want on base with the speed. Vanderkoos doing everything that she can to try and throw Ross off. You've seen she's thrown in a lot of her off-speed pitches. There's another one, but it didn't work.
Drills this to right center. It goes all the way to the wall. Ross going for 3rd and slides in safely. And now going home. It's there. Touch 'em all, Amaya Ross.
Give her 4, Amaya Ross, showing off the speed and the base running abilities.
Get your stopwatches out. We got to track just how fast this was as soon as it left her back.
Honestly, this pitch off speed again. She gets a good bat on it, hits it to the wall, and she is gone. She sees that the ball has turned the outfielder around, so she continues to run, overthrow, and she's like, hey, might as well just keep going.
It actually went off her helmet As Perez, I think she wasn't going to get there in time anyways. But a great heads-up play by Ross, was told to go home after it bounced off the glove of Downing.
It's pretty insane. You really don't see that ever, especially at this level of softball. You don't see someone touch all 4 bases unless they hit it over the fence.
0-1 pitch to Devin Flaherty. Not about bunting. Pulls back in time for ball 1. But again, that's what you see. That's something that's part of the identity of this FSU program, is they are always going to make you work every 60 feet. You saw that against Stanford last week. Even despite the score at times against Georgia, you saw the Bulldogs make some errors because, right, that margin for error is so small. Over towards left. Good running catch by Lansdale. 2 away. But again, I feel like every opponent has to have that in the front of their mind, where if you take one bad step, you bobble the ball. That's the difference between a tie game and a 1-run deficit.
You're right, Sean, and it's so incredibly hard. Like, I almost don't even have words for it, because Florida State, they can play the small ball. They've got the speed. They've obviously got the power. It's what makes their offense so dangerous, because they can do so many different things.
Sometimes when you watch so much Florida State softball, you forget how annoying it is for other teams to have to deal with that. But again, like we talk about with Lonnie Alameda and working through some of those difficulties with the pitching staff, you know, okay, it's week 2. By the time you get to May, you know she'll have a rip on things.
And the team is just going to continue to get better as the year goes on. Their weaknesses are going to be exposed. They're going to work on it in practice. This team, I think, has a really good shot of being so dangerous at the end of the season.
1-1 to Edenfield. Inside ball 2. She said, you know, my freshman year, I was so annoying to poor Anna Shellnut. I had to ask a million questions. I wanted to make sure I knew everything. I was in that best spot to succeed. And now, she said her big word for this year, swing. Obvious when it comes to her. Wants to find that consistency she did see in her second season after going through a bit of a slump her freshman year. But she said, you know what, if I'm going to be open and honest and vulnerable, that's just going to make our freshmen more comfortable, our veterans, and just continue to approach with that team family mindset. And again, just another one of those pillars that makes Florida State a perennial contender.
And that's what good upperclassmen leaders want from their freshmen. They want you to ask questions. They want to be able to share the knowledge with you that they have learned over the years. So Michaela saying that she was annoying, I doubt that Anna really saw her as annoying. I'm sure Anna, who is now an assistant coach at Troy, has, you know, followed her dream and her love of coaching. I'm sure she loved helping Michaela.
Bouncer to second, dropped by Navarro. The 3rd error for the Panthers gives Florida State a base runner with 2 gone.
Getting on top of this pitch, takes a weird hop at second base, and Edenfield able to get to first base, no problem.
Allie Waycaser had a double and home run last weekend. Tips it into the glove of Perez. 0-1.
All you want. Give it a ride, ho.
Waycaser, also one of those freshmen who redshirted. She was injured at the beginning and had to take a medical redshirt, so she was able to have that entire year to learn and to be developed and to go through different situations. She got to experience a World Series, and that helped her now, give her even more experience, even more knowledge to be able to help these underclassmen. And now she sits at first base after getting a line drive to left field.
Good 2-out hit for Hallie Waycaser. And we'll see Florida State throwing a pinch runner for Michaela Edenfield. Annie Potter now taking over as Florida State looks to make Florida International pay for that 2-out error. Potter, another one of those young kids trying to find their spot in the lineup, but Devin Flaherty just the other day, even at media days, nothing but great things about her. About getting into the weight room, staying committed, understanding, for a 60, 70 game season, it's not just 1 or 2 boxes to be ready on a daily basis. You have to start taking care of yourself months before the season and in the off season.
Sometimes your role is going to be different than what you expected it to be when you first come into college. When you get to this level, everyone was the best on their team. So you have to work extra hard to be an everyday player. And sometimes that means taking a year where you are a pinch runner, or where you're a bullpen catcher, or where you're throwing live to batters in practice to get them reps, get them ready for the weekend. So it's important that as a team you come together and you accept what your role is for that year.
Junior on second now. Perez will always not just try to throw out runners, where she was phenomenal her freshman year. She likes to pick off runners too. Second, a little bit harder to get than first or third, but with 2 outs, Florida International trying to avoid another miscue. Already 3 errors tonight.
And these Florida State hitters are definitely going to test her behind the plate. They're going to get aggressive leads. They're going to try to get her to throw the ball, try to make a mistake so that they can advance.
3-0 count for Kaylee Mudge. Slaps that foul. Vanderkoos trying to get out of a jam. Has been solid in her second career start. Mudge over to left, over the head of Peden. Here comes Potter. Waycaser holds up at third. It's a stand-up double for Kaylee Mudge. And the Noles jump in front 4-2.
Such a clutch hit by Kaylee Mudge. This pitch is outside. It's running away from Mudge. So she takes that ball right back where it came from. And Annie Potter able to score from second base.
Nothing Peden could do there. Mike Forsythe will jump into the circle. It looks like we'll have a pitching change with 2 outs and runners on second and third. Florida State now up 4-2 with Janai Kerr coming up. Julie Vanderkoos with an impressive performance in her second career start. But after a couple of big hits by Florida State in this 4th inning, 2 runs come across, 2 more lurking. Don't want to put a sour end to this great start, but Florida State, to their credit, made some adjustments, came up with some clutch plays.
That's what happens at this level of softball. It's so hard to get through the lineup multiple times as a pitcher when you're playing against this caliber of hitting. So Julie Vanderkoos should be very proud of the performance that she had out here so far. She did really, really well, holding Florida State to 0 runs in 2 innings and striking out Kaylee Harding, who is one of the most dangerous bats in this Florida State lineup.
And Janai Kerr to start the bottom of the first. Kerr 0 for 2 today, now facing Ella Whitney, All Conference USA second team last year. We're now in a 2-0 count against Florida State's leadoff hitter. Kerr goes through, strike 1.
Whitney, she's going to be a little bit faster speed-wise than Vanderkoos. She's going to be low mid 60s, coming up to 64. She also throws to all 4 quadrants, so we're going to see up, down, east, west, and we're going to see a changeup.
Nice save by Perez there from behind the plate. 3-1 the count to Kerr. Whitney making her 4th appearance of the year. Last time out on Friday against Duke. Recorded 4 outs, gave up 4 hits, 4 earned. Kerr smashes it to center, and that one bounces off the wall. 2 more are in, and the 2-out rally continues.
Florida State has turned on the bats. They've stepped on the gas pedal, and it doesn't look like they're letting up anytime soon with that hit from Janai Kerr. This pitch low in the zone, actually. She's able to get her bat down towards the ball and lift it up into center field.
Wade Kaser and Mudge come all the way home. 3rd double of the inning. This one shot up the middle. Coming around home, Kerr scores. 1 pitch, all it takes for Isa Torres to make it 7-2.
Isa Torres jumps on that ball and hits it right back where it came from, allowing Kerr to round the bases. I didn't think she was going to keep going, but she did, putting so much pressure on that defense. They didn't know whether to look home or to look towards Torres.
I was starting to get nervous coming up to the plate for the 3rd time because she had a hit in all 8 games prior. I didn't want to be the one to earn the broadcaster's jinx. So now 9 for 9. Load off my shoulders.
I've definitely jinxed a few people in my short career as a TV analyst, so I completely understand.
Did you believe in it as a player?
100%.
See,
I'm superstitious for sure, especially when it comes to softball.
Harding with a big rip there. 1-1.
I mean, as a broadcaster, if a pitcher's throwing a no-hitter, I won't talk about
No.
it. I still won't. I won't talk about it. I'm not even in the game.
That's why I always, right, you're doing basketball, somebody's shooting free throws, you wait till after the free throws.
Right.
Harding to shallow center. Meredith has it. But a big 4th inning for Florida State opens up a nice cushion. We're through 4. Florida State up 7-2. Hey, just get back to work. That's kind of what these next 6 games feel like before a big trip to Oregon.
Definitely. It's going to get a lot of players a lot of experience before that trip. Maybe get some confidence for some players who aren't doing as well as they normally would.
Kenna Reed looking for a new season high. Already 4 complete innings in her first start. Gets a strike there on Collier Peden. Won the battle once against FIU's most dangerous hitter, then Peden singled in the 3rd, came around to score.
McKenna Reed, I'm sure, has a lot of pressure gone now after Florida State having that big inning where they scored so many runs.
Doesn't get any easier against the 7th toughest to strike out, according to the numbers. Peden only one time down on strikes this year. That one too tall, evens the count. Didn't start on opening day, the only time she was not in the starting lineup for Mike Larrabee. Grounder over to second, Flaherty fields it and fires to first.
Nice job by Devin Flaherty, easy play. Over to first for that first out. A tough out, definitely a tough out as well.
Reed still going. Saw Royalty warm up a couple of times. That might be to get her loose for the second game of our doubleheader, starting at approximately 7:30. See how close we get to that start time after the conclusion of this one. Feels like there is a lot of trust right there for McKenna Reed to go into this fifth inning and continue what's been a strong performance.
Definitely, she's done great. I'm sure Coach Alameda, if she can, would love for Reed to throw as many innings as possible in this game to help build her confidence. She's doing so well, just let her keep going.
This is what she's done so far. Had 4 innings against Florida A&M 2 weeks ago. Now a new season high, those 5 singles. Something you might look at a little deeper, but Coach says too, I need that sample size. We need to get into so many different spots so I can learn in those ACC games, in those tournament games, how we're going to be a little more methodical and cerebral with our process and come out on top.
Florida State has a lot of pitchers, so you want to get them as much experience as you can before you get into ACC play. You want to know who's going to be able to handle the big moments, who may need a little bit more help in situations.
Ross with a good jump, takes care of the second out. Reed really cruising.
I think she's feeling good, especially after that inning where the hits were, where the runners kept going and the hitters were really hitting her in that moment. She was able to overcome it, and now, like you said, I feel like she's really rolling. She's feeling good. She's feeling herself. She's in her groove.
She even said, I have to focus on the little things more, continue to build those connections with our staff, but I didn't realize how tough 60, 70 games are. You lose some of your velo, you feel some of the pressure in these bigger games where the stakes are so tall. But how crazy is that for a freshman to learn and now have all this experience going into her final 3 years?
Well, coming back off of such a fantastic freshman season, there's all these expectations. People, you know, they see you as something and they want you to be more and larger than life, and so it's a lot of pressure. You've got to be able to overcome that and really just stay focused on one pitch at a time and not think about all of the expectations and what other people are saying about you.
Two-one count to Casey Goguts. Three and one. And a couple of nice 2-out rallies for each side. Count goes full on that foul ball. McKenna Reed's been very good today, like we've mentioned a few times. It's been really important, not only just having that 70% strike percentage, but taking care of a lot of leadoff batters. And then in these moments, really grinding out tough at-bats. Payoff pitch here. Tipped foul.
If you can have at least 70% strikes in a game, there's a good chance that you're going to win. That's really, really good. as well as getting out majority of the leadoff batters.
Those FIU leadoff hitters, 1 for 5 today. Just gets a piece of that in the air. Torres backing up, gets the glove up. A good effort from the freshman. Second time today, Reed retires the Panthers in order. 7-2 going to home half of the 5th.
Today, let's dive in.
CeraVe. Developed with Michael Cera. We like? Sir, were you about to start clapping?
When Barbara switched to TurboTax?
I broke 4 generations of family tradition. Ma, I want to make perfume.
So I made Barbara's new sidekick count by guaranteeing her maximum refund. Intuit TurboTax.
Florida State finally found some separation in the 4th inning after Amaya Ross tripled and scored on an error with 2 outs. Michaela Edenfield, a ground ball dropped by Michaela Navarro, and that opened the floodgates.
It did. It got the bats rolling for Florida State. Then we have Kaylee Mudge hitting a ball to left field, scoring some more runs, and Janai Kerr absolutely annihilating this low pitch into center field and allowing even more runs to come across for Florida State.
Kerr drove in 2 more there, Waycaser and Mudge. Issa Torres then singled to center on the first pitch. And that's what is so crucial. That's what Lonnie Alameda has said a couple of times since Clearwater. And you look at those big innings by UCLA and Georgia, you can go back to just that one play. And that's all the difference in a 5-run inning like we saw in the 4th versus a 1-run inning, and this being a much tighter game.
A lot of games, believe it or not, are won or lost in 1 inning. Usually something happens and things get broken open where a lot of runs are scored and gets the momentum going for whichever team.
That's the thing about Florida State, the 11th ranked team. They are so mentally tough. Jason Beecham had a single in the 2nd, scored the first run of the day on Amaya Ross's 2-run shot. Ross looking to inch closer to the cycle, waits on deck. Sydney Burling is now out there for FIU. The Panthers ready to showcase all on their pitching staff this weekend in Tallahassee. Coach Larrabee saying, I'm hoping to find those top 2 or 3 pitchers that we can ride the rest of the year.
Burling had a slow start last year and this year, but she had a great bullpen going into this weekend. She's going to be closer in speed to Vanderkoos, 62 to 63 with east-west movement, meaning curve and screw.
Yeah, thought we might see her start the 2nd game of our doubleheader. A little surprising to see Burling out right now. This lefty, a little bit different. Had a great start last Wednesday against UNF in a 2-1 win. Had more than 5 innings of work, gave up just 1 hit, 1 run, but pitches to a lot of contact.
And that's okay. You don't have to be a strikeout pitcher to be a successful pitcher. Those two things, they do correlate, but not all the time. If you can be a pitch-to-contact pitcher and allow your defense to work and you've got a solid defense behind you, you're going to see success.
Give it a ride, Amaya.
Burling, the ace last year, led the team with 112 innings pitched. Now back-to-back outside the zone to Amaya Ross. You feel so happy for a player that doesn't panic, doesn't get upset, and transfers out after a year or two of being shoehorned into a role where she has been unbelievable. But now her third year getting everyday starts. Grounds this right back to Burling. A toss over to first in time against the FSU speedster. So she is human. After the home run and the triple, she's finally going to go take a seat.
I mean, you know, she's got to let some other people shine, I guess. She is an incredible athlete, honestly. And going back to what you said about her understanding her role, and now she's able to be an everyday starter for this Florida State team. I mean, when you come into a program like this, you have to know that everyone is talented, everyone is good, and it may not be your first year, even your second year, but if you continue to grind, if you continue to trust the process, it'll come.
Again, it's not like there weren't all-American, all-ACC caliber players in front of you, but it's got to disrupt your rhythm a little bit. You want to get those reps, and you take only 36 at-bats your sophomore year. It's really different, but hey, I guess all the experience has been worthwhile for her because she's tearing the seams off the ball right now.
Definitely, and you want to take those first 2 years of your collegiate career and just try to learn as much as you can. Just try to soak up as much as you can from the upperclassmen.
Flaherty looking to get on for the first time tonight with 2 away. Watch a strike 2 go by. Flaherty, the one you look to for so much poise, even laughing, saying, you see one side of the infield and the other side of the infield right now. You know, we'll laugh a little bit. We'll say, okay, it's 7-1, no big deal versus freshman. It's first time dealing with that. A little new as she takes that one right around the hip. Jeff going to shake it off.
That definitely did not feel good. This ball just cuts in. Oh, I think it got her just right above the knee almost. That's not a good spot. I mean, that's getting close to the bone, so that hurts.
Yeah, so this saw that from the broadcast booth. The knee might hurt a little more than the hip, but it's Devin. Nothing she hasn't seen before.
Right, she's tough. She's tough.
Katie Dack now pinch hitting for the Seminoles. Coming in for Fry after replacing Eden Field in the top half.
Katie Dack is one of those players who has all the ability in the world to absolutely smash the ball if she gets a hold of it.
Yeah, I think she's responsible for a couple broken windshields since coming in last year.
We've seen her in, you know, more of a pinch hitter role this season versus last season.
Flaherty takes off. Throw from Perez, not in time. It skips away. From first to third in a flash. Flaherty 60 feet away from Florida State's 8th run.
Goes back to that heads-up base running that Florida State is so good at. Ball ricochets off of the glove, and Flaherty advances to third with ease.
It's like the unstoppable force against the immovable object. You wonder, okay, if Devin Flaherty put up eye-popping stolen base numbers last year, where she led the ACC with 31 swipes on 32 attempts, and then, of course, there's Bella Perez behind home. Flaherty wins that battle, but now a 2-2 count to Katie Dack.
And Perez, I'm sure, well aware of what Devin Flaherty is able to do on the base path, so she was probably thinking there was a good chance she was going to steal in that situation.
They'll say no. They go down the first base line. Dak did not check her swing. Count goes full. Oh, that was close.
It was a close one, but I do think she held back just slightly. If there was a little bit more break in the wrist, I think they would have said that she went.
David Gilliam on first. Extends the inning by one more pitch. All's well that ends well. Burling gets the strikeout. A scoreless inning in relief for her. Florida International looking to climb back from a 5-run deficit. First pitch low to Abigail Brown. Number 4 hitter. Drove in those 2 runs on the scoreboard for FIU.
Mimi is going to be a very different look from McKenna Reed. McKenna being the long, velo, rise ball, all the things lefty. Mimi is going to be lower in the zone, not as much velo, coming from the right side, just a completely different look than what these FIU hitters had seen previously.
Had some great experience in Clearwater last Friday through 2 innings, 40 pitches against UCLA. Tossed a scoreless inning against Georgia. Gets the strike call there. So coming out of that whirlwind, I don't know how else you describe Clearwater and everything going around, other than a whirlwind. What do you look for right now, 6 outs away from another win?
I think Mimi right here, she just needs to trust her stuff. She's got really good stuff. She's got good movement. Trust her defense. She's been on the big stage already at Clearwater. I consider that like a mini World Series with the competition and the amount of fans that are there. So she's at home. She's comfortable. She should just trust it.
Bouncer over to third. Beecham with a bullet to first. And after falling behind in the count, Gooden stays tough. Gets the leadoff batter down.
Stepping up to the plate, number 25,
Isabella Perez, the next Panther up.
You got your job, Dan. You got your job. Keep going. Come on, take control.
Lefty grounds it over to Flaherty. Tosses it to first.
This goes back to what we were talking about earlier, pitch to contact pitchers. That's really what you're going to see more so from Gooden versus Reed. Reed coming up with the velo and the rise is going to get more strikeouts, where Gooden is throwing that drop ball that's a little bit slower in the zone. So you're going to see more ground balls, but I mean, the defense that Florida State has, that shouldn't be a problem for them.
First offering inside to Michaela Navarro.
Stay strong, Dan.
These 2 programs so excited for the future and all the underclassmen they boast and put in their lineup on a daily basis. Navarro's second highest average on the team heading into this big weekend in Tallahassee as FIU leaves Miami for the first time this year. Now a 3-0 count to Navarro.
And I think this really kind of speaks to being a freshman. You get 2 quick, easy outs, and then, 3-0 on what should be the 3rd out, now walking. That's something that, oh, strike, never mind, that was a strike call. Good for Mimi, but there we go. I don't know if that actually was a strike. That was kind of out of the zone. Now getting the walk. She's got to be able to just go right at these hitters. When you've got movement that's going down like that, you can actually throw the ball a little bit more over the plate because you know that it's going to produce ground balls, and you know you have a good defense, so let them work.
Mimi beats Mimi. Navarro on first after hitting safely for the 7th time in 9 starts this year.
Time to shut the door.
FIU down 5. Liner to right field. Lansdale hits it directly to Waycaser. Scoreless inning for Mimi Gooden. Last chance to add some insurance for the Noles in the 6th. Packed in that 4th inning. Big single to left. Came around to score later in the inning. That's where you hear so many coaches throughout the country say, oh man, it's just so hard every time you face Florida State. Even if you win a battle or two against them, you just hold your breath that 3rd time, because to consistently beat a Kaylee Harding and then even a Hallie Waycaser, it's just such a tall task. Waycaser sharply hit to 3rd, across the diamond by Downing. Couple of pitches, all it takes for Burling to retire Hallie Waycaser.
This lineup is incredibly hard to face. So many talented hitters who can do different things, who also provide a lot of power, so you have to be very selective with the pitches that you throw.
Entered today with a 14th best team batting average, 371, but Mudge grounds out on the first pitch. Little toe tap from Go Guts. Brings up Janai Kerr for the 4th time tonight, as the Noles are 3 defensive outs away from their 6th win of the year, and we'll have a quick turnaround before the 2nd game of our doubleheader.
That's what's so difficult, is that both of these teams have to turn around and play another game.
Doesn't part of you miss it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I would suit up. I'd play 6 games in one day if it meant that I could play here again with my teammates. An off-speed pitch, a little up in the zone.
As you say, that was off speed. Like, how you separate all the letters. That's how.
Yes, it was
Slow
very
it seemed.
slow, very slow.
Good by Burling to really change speeds. Really, it's the only way you can keep the Seminoles on their back foot. They're always ready to rip, and we've seen the Noles spray the ball all over the field.
Janai Kerr being very selective, very smart right now at the plate, not swinging at anything that's not her pitch, not what she's looking for.
Takes ball 4 there. 2nd time on first tonight. So cool for Janai Kerr. Now an RBI in 7 of the first 9 games this year. After her big hit in the 4th inning. Somebody too who had a big time breakout year. Isa Torres, thought we might see her one more time, but looks like the Noles are going to make another switch with 2 outs in the 6th.
Switching a freshman for another freshman. Trying to get Kennedy Harp an at bat here, a little bit of experience.
Freshman going to get her 6th at bat of the year. Had her first hit against Georgia on Saturday. Misses there for strike 1.
Big swing there by Harp.
You can tell she's eager.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's freshman for you. You want to get in there. You want to make something happen. So excited. It's almost like a puppy dog energy.
Hits this over to short. Goes off the glove of Lansdale. Kerr will take 3rd. Harp doesn't hesitate to go to 2nd.
So cool seeing freshman Harp getting a good swing on the ball, hitting it right in the gap off the glove of Ashton. And Kerr, again, with that heads-up base running, making that turn at second, getting 3, and Harp able to get to 2.
Looks like they'll score that as a double for Harp. Lansdale with a good effort. I think even if she got that cleanly, there's no throw to be made. You see how quick she left the batter's box?
I agree. Lansdale made a good effort. She tried, came off the glove, but I think that was a hit for sure.
Now off the plate to Kaylee Harding. 0 for 3. Struck out in the first, got caught looking in the third, and then flew out to center in the fourth.
Uncharacteristic of Harding so far this season, but you're going to have games like that. You can't be incredible every single game.
I love what Lonnie Alameda said after her 2 home run game against Charlotte, saying, yeah, you see the success because of the work she puts in. And after a couple pitches outside the zone, Mike Forsythe will step out of the dugout again. The pitching coach for the Panthers will step in with Sydney Burling, but that's what I love. And Lonnie saying, it's just the how. She works so early. She hones her craft. You love to see it for an upperclassman to see that success, but even though she is not the loudest of the bunch, her work is what does the talking. That's what motivates the rest of the team when they see her get these kinds of results.
Well, you find confidence in your preparation when you know that you've been in the cages, you've been in the weight room, you've been putting in the extra work, the extra rep, and then it's time to step up and show out. You feel good about it because you know that you've put in what it takes to get you there.
It's funny, we were talking before first pitch this afternoon, and I asked you, you just get tired trying to think of all the words and phrases to use, and I asked you, okay, so what would you say in the word?
And I said clutch. Kaylee Harding is clutch. We had several instances. I was fortunate enough to play with her where that's what we described her as. That's what the team described her as, was clutch. In big moments, she produces. And one of the biggest moments was her home run in the 2021 World Series that kept us alive.
Can't put that in play there. It was right to the deck. Got to keep your head on a swivel when she steps in, because you're going to lose your nachos or your beverage or your head if you're not paying attention.
And it's great, too, because she's one of those players, even though she's 0 for 3 today, I mean, she's not thinking about that. You know, she is taking it one swing at a time. She's really focusing on what she's got to do here in this moment. She's not thinking about the past. And that's what makes her so successful. That's what separates good hitters from great hitters and good pitchers from great pitchers, is being able to flush what just happened, forget about whatever last at bat, last pitch, last hit, and think about what am I doing right now.
Top 25 in the NCAA in RBI, total bases, slugging percentage. 2-2 hit over to second, fielded by Navarro. No problems there. The Noles threaten but don't score. Now 3 outs away from wrapping up another win. This team's always appointment television when they step out onto the chalk. It'll be just as much fun to watch tonight. Gooden stays in after taking care of the 6th. First pitch, Bailey Grossenbacher is a strike. But McKenna Reed should be applauded for some strong pitching, got into a couple of tight spots, responded well as this hit to Flaherty took an awkward hop over her glove.
Yeah, that's not something that you often see from Flaherty. She usually pretty solid on defense. Here, tried to glove it on the side of her body, and it took that awkward hop and just got past her.
So Kalina Downing will try to extend this game a little bit longer. FIU known for their toughness. Now they played in so many tight games. Coach Larrabee told us about recruiting winners, and now in his 3rd year feels so confident in this roster and really proud of what they've shown. Playing some real tough competition.
If you want to be the best, you have to play the best. That's his motto, and I fully agree with it. That's how you get better, is by playing teams that are better than you.
Autumn Belvide now in left field, replacing Kaylee Mudge. Isa Torres, who was pinch hit for, back at shortstop, and Michaela Edenfield behind home. Good strike there for Gooden. So, take us behind the curtain a little bit. Everybody likes that access nowadays. For Mimi Gooden right now, what is Coach looking for? What is she wanting to see, obviously, besides 3 quick outs and moving their focus to the second game?
Really, I think in this situation, she just wants to see her trust herself. She wants to see her build that confidence. She wants to see her learning through pitches. I mean, it's just all about gaining that experience early on and doing the best that you can, just trusting everything.
Lonnie even said in Clearwater, yeah, they're different circumstances. Maybe later in the year, I would have had a shorter leash with some of our pitchers, but got to go out there, and sometimes you get punched in the face, but you'll be better for it. Beecham, nice scoop and throw. Runner advances to second, but the first out taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the hardest lessons, those are the ones that you remember, and so getting punched in the face, you got to learn how to get back up and keep on fighting, not allow yourself to get down.
The Hall of Famer now steps out of the dugout. Hold infield will meet with Coach. Runner on second with 1 out in the top of the 7th. And look, that's why there's no reason to panic, no reason to be upset with giving up 20 runs to a great veteran Georgia offense and a perennial contender at UCLA, because you look at the resume of Lonnie Alameda, you know she's going to figure it out. She's going to have a good plan in place, and there is a method to the madness as you go over the course of a marathon 60, 70 game season.
Coach Alameda is one of the best pitching coaches in the nation. I mean, I know I'm a little biased, but she's so smart when it comes to the game. And if you get the opportunity to just sit in on a bullpen with her or sit in on film, it's incredible the amount of information that you will learn just from that short period of time.
Good reason to meet with Collier Peden stepping in. 1 for 3 today, singled in the 3rd to continue her impressive start to 2024, playing with the Panthers after transferring from Gulf Coast State College in Panama City. Did you have a first oh shoot moment when you came to Florida State and realizing just the knowledge, the experience, the whole package with Lonnie trying to teach pitchers?
I think my moment actually came in the fall when I was, pitching against my own teammates and having to be a little different.
This one sneaks through the infield, throw home not in time. Peden advances to second. Collier Peden right on her average, 2 for 4 today, and drives in a run late.
It's a good pitch, drop ball. She takes her hands down to it and just hits it right back up the middle. Gooden was unable to field it, and Torres playing a little bit too far over to be able to get that ball.
Good hustle from Grossenbacher. 7-3 our score.
But going back to that moment, I had to learn how to be really vocal. I wasn't very vocal when it came to pitching. I kind of zoned in and did my thing and didn't really pay attention to anybody else. And Coach is very big on communication with pitchers in their infield. So she wanted me to be external. She wanted me to talk to my infielders when I turned around and be very aware of the situations that I was in. And that's something that I wasn't used to. And I was kind of like, oh shoot, like this is different. Like this is out of my comfort zone, but it became a part of who I was and a part of my game, and Sydney Sherrill was the person that I would turn to and really kind of have that conversation with in between pitches. So it became a part of my game now. Now I do that even in the pros.
Not a bad outlet to have.
No.
1-2 pitch to Meredith. Just gets a piece to stay alive. Rally hats on for FIU. Really, Mike Larrabee said one time this year we played Louisville and we got the doors blown off. So that's the only time I really felt like we weren't competitive and we weren't in a game even against good teams. They played Ohio State, Louisville, Duke, Rutgers, now Florida State in their first 12. Will be 13 games by the end of the night.
And they are fighting. I mean, they are not trying to go down easy. They are battling. They're getting the bat on the ball, trying to foul tip and keep it alive.
They got some flair too. Another one fouled away.
You hear the Florida State fans with their K-time chants. I know my first year, that was very intimidating for me. So I'm sure some of these other freshman pitchers are feeling that as well. Because when I came in, I was a senior, but I felt like a freshman because everything was all new to me. The culture was new, the fans were new, the stadium was new. And this chant was intimidating because I felt like I had to strike them out.
Callie Meredith refusing to go down quietly. She's just a winner.
Yeah. This cheer I don't think was meant to make the pitcher feel intimidated, though. It was definitely meant to make the hitter feel intimidated, get in their head a little bit.
Go get her, Mimi. Go get her.
Even count for Gooden. Meredith lays off. Full count for the freshman who's stayed in the top part of the lineup through the early weeks of the season. Eden's on second. Grounder right back to Gooden. Flips it to first. Second out taken care of. Eden advances to third, but that's that PFP Coach loves.
We love a good PFP, and that's something that the pitchers at Florida State work so hard on. We are always a part of the infield, always working on pitching and then fielding the ball right afterwards.
All right, finish this, Dan. Finish it.
Casey Goguts represents the final out. Good save from Edenfield behind home. Eden with the RBI earlier this inning. Called strike on a grad transfer. Infield pinched in.
All about you, Dan. All about you.
This one inside, just misses.
Mimi Gooden doing a great job of just staying right around the zone. She looks very poised right now. I mean, that's not a bad miss. It is a little inside, but that's what you want to throw against these teams that are aggressive at the plate. You want them swinging at those pitches just like that. I mean, that's the exact same pitch.
Here comes the K-time chance. Swing and a miss for strike three. Gooden closes it out. And thanks to a big fourth inning, Florida State takes down Florida International 7-3.
Mimi Gooden making me laugh there at the end. She was ready to walk off the field.